Why are we trading with the trend? As we started off the conversation, why do we trade with the trend? 98% of the biggest movers and the fastest movers were in stage 2 uptrend. That's compelling enough. That for me, that's enough. Do you want to be in the 98% club, or do you want to be in the 2% club? Do you want to have a 2% probability of being in a big moving stock, or 98%? See, if you're in any other stage than stage 2, based on history, you have a 2% chance of being in a big winning stock, because 98% of stocks are in stage 2 before they make a big move. So right there, you've killed your probabilities. Now, the other reason is because we want evidence that institutions are buying. We're going to talk about that later, even more in depth, why we want institutions buying, and to be able to ascertain whether they're buying or not. That's something we're going to get into in depth throughout the entire workshop. You're also going to increase the probability of success, because like we said before, you're going to get bailed out more often. You're going to get happy surprises with a serial gapper to the upside than a serial gapper to the downside. You're going to have stocks that are going to respond to news better, even bad news. Sometimes they'll go up because they're in this uptrend and there's an appetite for the stock, as opposed to in a downtrend, even good news, the stock will come off. And here's even a more important reason, and this is what we're going to get into very much detail later on. You know what to expect. You see, we have to narrow down the market to a set of parameters that cuts out a lot of noise and cuts out a lot of the other selections, the potential selections, because we need to know what to expect under certain conditions. It's all about reference points. See, David and I have been doing this so long that, when we see a stock, we immediately, our eyes are like a template. We just overlay it, and we can look in 2 seconds and see if it's meeting the criteria that we're even willing to consider it. And we could just throw it out or consider it right away and just start narrowing it down. And we know what we need to see. And then under those conditions, we know what to expect, to whether the stock's acting normal or abnormal. Under this particular condition, this is what the stock should do. The stock should be showing us tennis ball action, having pullbacks that are on low volume and very quick moves back up. All these characteristics that we're going to be going over, we know what to expect, and that's all you need to know. You don't need to forecast. You don't need to have a crystal ball. You just need to know what's normal and what's abnormal. And like I said, we'll get into that very much. Now, remember, your goal, here's the real key, because everybody has this buy low, sell high. Your goal is not to buy at the lowest price. Your goal is to buy at the right price. So what is the right price? The right price is that when you buy, the stock goes higher before it stops you out. Without stopping you out, the stock goes higher. So if you bought at the lowest price and the stock sat there for 2 years before it made a move, that's not what you're trying to accomplish, because you lose all that time. Or if you bought at the lowest price and now it goes down an amount that hits your stop, well, that's not going to help you either, because you're going to be knocked out of the stock, and then it might turn around and go up and you're not even in it. So the key is to buy at the right price. You'd much rather buy, maybe the stock doubles or triples, but then from where you buy it, it doubles again. The key is what it does after you buy it. And that's the real key that we're going to be talking about here. Dave, I don't know if you have any final comments on that.
Yeah, I would just add is that when you're in a stage 2 uptrend, or is that you're looking for change. If the stock is going up and it's got a nice trend going, it's when things start changing is when you should be aware of maybe that stage 2 is over and we're going into stage 3. So you're always looking at the price and volume. You're looking at the characteristics of how the stock is trading. And once you identify that change, you might be getting ready to be selling that stock.
And I'm going to show you later on, because some people say, oh, this is long term, and what about the shorter term trades, the swing trades, or even the really short term trades? This criteria is the same criteria if I'm day trading a stock, swing trading, or trying to hold it for a big move. I'm still requiring all this criteria from my buy point. So we're going to get to that later. Here's the trend template criteria. All right. This is also in my books. Many of you may have seen this already, but this is the criteria that you're going to want it to meet. Now, here's the important thing. It needs to meet all of this criteria. It's not like if it meets 7, it's okay. It needs to meet all this criteria to be a confirmed stage 2 uptrend. Now, in MarketSmith, if you go to reports and you go to technical, in the folder technical, there's going to be 4 Minervini trend templates that are going to come up. There's a 1 month, a 1 to 4 month, a 5 month, and a 5 month, we call a 5 month loose. I'm not going to, we're going to have a Rusha from MarketSmith here on live trading. So I'm not going to get into this too deep because we're going to go into all this and he's going to show us MarketSmith, and you'll learn a whole bunch of things about MarketSmith, and we'll look at these in depth. But all these screens for finding an early turn, a transition from stage 1 to stage 2, it can be found in the 1 month and the 1 to 4 month, and then confirmed stage 2 uptrends can be in the 5 month, and then the 5 month loose lets you add additional criteria that's not in there. Now, the real cool thing is that you can use these as a qualifier. So you can screen the entire market. It screens them out based on my trend template. And then from there, you can add criteria. So you don't even get tempted to buy some stock that doesn't meet this criteria or that's in a downtrend. Real quick, also, you can go on MarketSmith. There's up in the right-hand corner, it says open stock ideas. And if you click on that, there's a shortcut. And you go right here, just under the William O'Neill screen is the Minervini trend 5 month. If you click on that, it's under weekly uptrend. You click on that, and then it will go and it will take you to this folder, and you'll see all 4 of them. So that's a little shortcut.
Yeah, and Mark, one thing I would add to that, when I spend a lot of time, or at least every week, I'm looking at the 1 month trend template. And what's interesting is that can actually give you some feeling for the market. Is the market starting to turn, or has the market been going for a long period of time? Because when the market's been an uptrend for a long period of time, you're going to get fewer and fewer stocks that are showing up in that trend template. I mean, you're going to get like under 20 stocks. But when the market has gone through a correction or has gone through a bear market and then starts turning, you're going to get hundreds of stocks showing up that are just starting to turn. And you can also get a great indication of what groups are starting to move when you see a bunch of stocks that are hitting that trend template.
That's right. You can sort it by group, and you can see right here when this was run 872 stocks. I remember when we were in the correction, in the bear market correction, it was down. It was way down. I think it was 100 names or a couple hundred names. So yeah, I know a lot of people have mentioned that they look at that and see the health of the market based on how many stocks are in the uptrend versus the downtrend. And that's something also that Stan Weinstein used to do. And I think he used to have a newsletter called The Professional Tape Reader. This was way back, many decades ago. But he used to rank, how many stocks were in the various trends. And that was very helpful in understanding where we were in the maturation cycle of the overall market. So early turn, real quick, is when we first turn up and you get the 200-day is only up in an uptrend for 1 month. So it's very early in the transition from 1 to 2. A confirmed stage 2 uptrend. Now we're in an uptrend for greater than 4 months, and usually you stair step your way up from there. And now you've got all the criteria met, but you're in an uptrend with the 200-day for over 4 months, and that's what I call confirmed. And that's the majority of the stocks that I buy are in the confirmed. Now, real quick, we're going to talk about this later about power plays, high tight flags. They move up so rapidly from the lows, they can actually transition from stage 1 to stage 2, but be in an early turn. So that's one of the reasons why you look for the early turns, and you can run the early turn screen, is you'll find some of these power plays that go from dormancy to just boom, off to the races. They double or triple in a very short period of time, and you're going to need to apply the early turn criteria. So there is some caveats. A confirmed uptrend is what you want the majority of your stocks, but for the power plays, you can sometimes get them where they're going to be in the early turn criteria. And the last but not least, if you get a very large base, you get a base that's moved sideways for a long period of time, and usually a double bottom or some type of base that that forms over a long period of time and has either a dip on the right side or maybe is forming like here, low on the right side, you can get where the moving averages flatten out, and then it comes out of these bases and you're in that early turn also. Those are just two quick caveats that I wanted to cover. We're going to get into all this deeper and deeper and deeper. When I mean deep, I mean deep. So this is, again, we're just giving you the the perspective, and we're looking at that aerial view now, and then we're gonna come down into an overhead and then get really microscopic. So just hold on to your seat here, and there's a lot of fun stuff coming. So when we come back, we're going to talk about fundamentals, because we also, we're going to talk about technicals. We started off with some technicals and some group work. We talked about categories, valuation, now the trend. We're going to add the fundamentals, and then we're going to go back to the really, really fun stuff to get to the chart patterns, and then later on risk management, of course, and talk about IPO bases and power plays and everything you can think of under the sun. The math behind all this, risk management, everything you can think of from A to Z. So, but we're gonna take a break right now, and then we'll be back, and we'll go to fundamentals. Okay.